I want to take a moment here and talk a little bit about a new strumming technique. Up until now, we've been doing all downstrokes, and now we're going to do both downstrokes and something called upstrokes. And while I'm doing this, I'm holding down a D chord, which we're going to spend some more time with in a moment. But a downstroke is strumming down towards the floor, or towards your shoes, or towards the dog food bowl, or whatever you got down there. An upstroke is strumming up towards your face or the ceiling or the lava lamp over your shoulder or whatever you've got in your house. So together that's downstroke, a downstroke, and an upstroke. And this is all happening with a combination of your arm and your wrist and your fingers. And the main thing is just to be doing it sort of broadly enough across the strings beyond where the strings actually start and stop. Like, you don't want to actually do it just here, because the broader your stroke, the more it's going to sound like a chord and less like a group of individual strings. We talked about this a little bit before. Instead of having this, you want to have this. So there are some things you can do with your fingers and the pick that I'll get into in more detail once we've moved on a little further. But for now, that's the thing I want you to think about, is just how your hand feels and getting that really broad stroke and letting your wrist be sort of fluid, moving from your arm. You'll see people pick a lot of different ways, so keep an eye out for that. And let's go on to the next section while you're thinking about that. Now for this D chord, we really just want the top four strings. Strings 4, 3, 2, and 1. If you end up hitting some of the other strings for now, that's okay, but this is what you're aiming for. And we're going to do it with a downstroke and an upstroke. It's actually, the tendency with the upstroke is to only get a few strings. Like, your upstroke might just get the top 3 strings for now, and that's okay too. But what you're aiming for is getting all 4 strings down and up. And there's one thing I want to point out about how you're holding the pick. I talked before with the downstroke about having a pretty good angle on the pick, so the pick rolls off the strings easily. Well, if you keep that same angle and you're holding the pick at all tightly, you're going to get caught and never be able to do that upstroke in the first place. So you might want to modify the angle a little bit so it's not quite so severe, and hold the pick with a pretty relaxed grip so that the pick is kind of able to move in your hand like this. And then when you're doing the upstroke, it can actually bend a bit in the other direction. I'm actually holding it pretty loosely. So you can see that I'm not really changing the angle of my hand. I'm changing the angle. I'm relaxing and letting the pick angle change by how loosely I hold the pick. So let's do some exercises along with a click just to practice downstrokes and upstrokes. I'll call out what I'm doing as the click is going by. So first, I'm going to do a downstroke on 1 and then an upstroke on 2, like this. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So try just doing that, a downstroke and an upstroke. And when that feels cool, try doing a downstroke on 1, an upstroke on 2, a downstroke on 3, and an upstroke on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So far, we've just been playing on the beats, playing on 1, 2, 3, and 4, either with a downstroke or now with downstrokes and upstrokes. But you can also play in between the beats, and musicians call these the ands, because the way that they count them is to say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So the notes that are played, when you play 1 and, you're not playing a quarter note anymore. If you play a note on 1 and a note on and, you're actually playing 2 eighth notes. And 2 eighth notes add up to a quarter note, just like 2 quarter notes add up to a half note. So we're going to do a strum now where we're strumming down on the beats, down on 1, and then up on the ands. So down on 1, up on and, down on 2, up on and, down on 3, up on and, down on 4, up on and. So let me roll the click and show you what that sounds like, and you can try to play along if you want. So I'm counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Let's try that a little slower too, so you can see what that feels like kind of broken down in slow motion. So we'd be counting like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and.